Hey, lovely people, and welcome back or welcome, whichever one applies to you. My name is Maya. This would be episode 3 of my mental health journey. So, just a little bit of background, not assuming that you've been following as though you should be doing so. I committed to basically keeping a visual diary of my experience as I am walking through my very own mental health journey. So, I've recently gotten into therapy and thought it could be beneficial. Even asked if people thought it would be beneficial to just kind of unpack what I'm experiencing, what I'm learning, what my process looks like, and just kind of just giving sound to it's okay to be in therapy, but more so from my own personal walk. So I'm not a licensed professional. This is not anything, certified or whatever. I am just taking you along the journey of my very own mental health. Road to restoration is what I like to call it. So this is just episode 3. I might try to do them on Mondays. I know I skipped last week. But it'll be Monday again, and maybe you'll watch or catch up on some of the episodes you've missed. But I try to do them weekly. And so that is why I'm here today to bring you episode 3. Kind of what was last week like, what's this week starting to look like, and just kind of where I am mentally, emotionally, etc. So my name is Maya. All my friends call me Mai. You can find me on my website, which is www.maimarshall.com. My Instagram, I have my personal Instagram, which is underscore MAI period YA underscore. And then, of course, my business page is at the Mai Marshall brand. And then, of course, on Facebook. But I'll link and tag all that information so that you can find me and follow me. So let's just jump right in. So, excuse me, today is Monday. And I skipped last week, but I think it was necessary, especially to bring this to you today. So I would just say the word for my space now is heavy. Heavy almost without weight, if that makes sense. I know that that's almost oxymoronic, but I'll explain what that means. So last week, well, every day we know that life can hit us with a lot of unexpected turns, a lot of things that we weren't necessarily prepared or planned for, and then it can just throw off the very course of our day, life, moment, whatever. And I am kind of a control freak. I like to have things organized. I like to kind of know what the day is going to look like. I kind of have it written out, and I'm a planner. So when anything comes off of the track that I have planned and prepared for, I am completely thrown off. Sometimes I am shut down. My week last week was a lot of that. It was so much death that I was reading about, that I've experienced in just personal relationships, losing people and friends. 1,013 conspiracy theories as to whether to get vaccinated or not to get vaccinated. Just more black on black crime, more police brutality when it comes to the black and brown communities. Yet another hashtag of another unarmed black man being gunned down by the police. Day in, day out of just being a black woman in America. It all got really heavy for me last week. Ironically so, something happened to where I wasn't able to have my therapy session last week. So all that stuff going on top of the fact that I don't even have my outlet, I wasn't able to have my session last week with my therapist. Now, mind y'all, if you watched episode 2, I told you that I was beginning to write a letter, an open-ended letter to my younger self and kind of speaking to her or giving a sound to what she wants to say, and as an adult kind of hearing her, but also kind of as an adult affirming and validating the younger me that may not have been validated or affirmed when she was younger. So that was already like a lot of soul work, a lot of heart work. So then to like be in the middle of doing that, plus walking through what felt like 7 days of forever, just with so much grief and so much heaviness. And then, like I said, not even having my therapy session last week, it was just a lot of stuff going on mentally and emotionally. Kind of like, God, where are you? I am a Christian. I believe in God with the big G, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Jesus went to the cross. But I found it even difficult to pray verbal prayers last week. A lot of my prayers last week were written or they were tears, or just heart prayers where I didn't even know what words to pray. I didn't feel like I was even formulating sentences that made sense, because when grief grips you, sometimes it literally makes you just feel like I have no idea how to exist in this space. So that's why I said I feel like I am in a state of heaviness as well as a state of weightlessness. Kind of hard to find my footing sometimes. Grieving with people that I don't know. We lost DMX last week. And I've never met this man a day in my life, but just the heaviness of growing up to his music and kind of knowing that he passed away from a reaction to a struggle that he's dealt with since he was 14. I have addiction that runs rampant in my family. So it kind of triggered off things like that. So imagine me trying to write to my younger self, and that's bringing up old things that I felt with just, having a mother that's very familiar with addictions, family members that are very familiar and still some struggling with addictions. I found out that a classmate had recently committed suicide. So then that's death on top of depression, which aided in him, taking his life. So then that brought up all type of feelings of my own struggles with that disease, trying to just balance, what depression versus just needing to recharge looked like and felt like. Almost selfish when I was doing things to cater to my self-care or my mental health, because it was so much stuff going on in the world that I felt like it was almost selfish to put me first, or to insert myself in other people's stories. Then of course, like I said, we're still kind of quarantined, even though there's a little bit of normal activity beginning again. But every time you get on a news outlet, it's something else devastating to read. So again, another hashtag, more gang violence, random acts of hate. And so it just became a lot. And I am one that, like, things have to make sense. And then I found myself just trying to take a break from social media, but because I'm an influencer, I have to be somewhat present on social media. But what I will tell you that I learned, and I'm so thankful for even being in this space of my mental health journey, having a therapist, having a safe space and a professional space to be able to get all of these things out. I know for certain that it is imperative for me. And I was going to say people, but I do think it is imperative for people to be in therapy. But I know for me, just in the space of living day to day, being a Black woman in the America that we live in with so much life happening off course of a plan that we may make, it is good to have a solid space which serves as an outlet. It's great to go, do self-care activities, but I think it is imperative for me just to kind of, as where I am in my road to restoration, to genuinely be in a space where I can talk to someone about how I'm feeling, and not feel guilty for dumping it on them, because that's basically what I'm paying her to listen to me do. When those prayers just seem like they're so overwhelming, and God is always near, I'm not saying that, but it's almost like to have a tangible form of someone that can listen to me and that hears me and can kind of give me action steps right then and there to implement or to try. Giving me the okay to, like, manage my social media intake. I'm in a space now where I'm really being intentional about guarding my gates. Yes, every time I get on my phone, I'm sure it's going to be something. And of course, because the devil knows what triggers we have, he's going to nicely place things as soon as we open our phones or open our computers or turn on the television to send us into tizzies of anxiety, worry, fear, and doubt. But God didn't give us any of those things. So even being mindful of guarding your gates and what you're allowing yourself to watch, what you're allowing yourself to hear, what you're allowing yourself to listen to, it's imperative in this season, because we don't have language to express what all we are experiencing, especially since 2020 was a roller coaster ride in itself. I don't know if subconsciously we just thought at the beginning of 2021, everything that we went through in 2020 was just going to magically disappear. But what people are failing to realize is that 2020 was a season, it was a year. And at the turn, like, things are getting better somewhat, but 2021 didn't magically erase 2020. We still have to go through the process. The same thing with my mental journey. Some of the things that she's making me bring up or, like, give energy or light to, I don't like it. But in order to get to the other side, I have to go through it. And so that's where I am. It's heavy and it feels weighted, but there's almost a sense of, like, freedom and light that's coming to it. but it's almost like it's happening simultaneously. And so while I don't know what next week is going to look like and what that report's going to be when I do episode 4, but I can say right now it is okay for me to feel heavy and to actually walk through the process of where the heaviness is coming from, what I'm doing in the heaviness, and where I'm trying to focus to get out of the heaviness. And a lot of the times I know for myself specifically, I try to rush through things that don't feel good, which is probably why I wind right back up where I started, because I never go through the process. I always want to stop short and take a detour. Sometimes in your mental health journey, or just in your journey of life in general, there won't always be detours that you can take, or maybe there will be, but ultimately at some point you're going to have to go through what you've been avoiding. You're going to have to confront and come face forward with the very things that we've been avoiding. And that's what I'm finding in my road to restoration in my own mental health journey, is that a lot of the things that I've suppressed, that I've brushed over, that I've been too busy to acknowledge or take time to sit in, I am having to face them now. And in order to be the best version of me on the other side of this, it is necessary for me to deal with them now, to go through the process now, to take my therapy seriously, to take the process seriously, whether it feels good or not. I am responsible for how I handle the process that I'm in, and not always try to skirt past because it's uncomfortable or it doesn't feel good. And I owe that to the people that love me, the people that I'll come in contact with, because in my walk and in my ministry, I can't bleed on people. So if I'm not dealing with the wound, if it's poked at enough, it's ultimately going to bleed, and I'm going to bleed on people that do not deserve my bloodshed. And I don't want you to have to follow my footsteps by following bloody footsteps. You know what I mean? So I feel like I owe it to the people that follow me. I owe it to the people that listen to me and the platform that I have to use it and steward it wisely. So I have to go through the process, and it is a lot of work. Therapy is bringing up a lot of things. I'm feeling things that I haven't felt before. I'm feeling things that I felt before and I don't like it, but it's a part of my process. And everybody's process is going to look different. But I would encourage you to not stop short. Do your work. Manage your mental. Guard your gates. Turn off the television. Like, I thought I was going to start this whole series. It's called Them. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to see what's up. Immediately I was triggered. But I was like, oh, well, it's just because it's about racism. But I can get through it. I got through a few episodes, and while it seems like it may be a good series, I've even had to okay, I can't watch this right now because I'm already battling the news and my reality as a Black woman in America. I see racism all the time. I don't need to watch a series where someone has put something together to further get me to understand what I already understand. So for me right now, maybe I should take a break from watching that and watch something a little bit more positive, a little bit more uplifting. But that's just me. Some people might be like, Maya, it don't take all that. Maybe not for you. But for me in this season, I am walking away from being in tune to that series. And then I'll pick it back up when I feel like I'm emotionally and mentally and spiritually strong enough to kind of get through it and stomach it. That's a lot of our problems too. Like, we feel like it's not that serious, so we don't pay attention to those small triggers. But then down the road, it becomes a bigger trigger and it goes off, and you're not prepared, or you're not understanding why you had such a reaction. It's because you should have guarded your gates, or you probably should not have digested or ingested, certain conversations, certain movies, certain songs, whatever is. But be mindful, be selfish about your mental, emotional, physical care. Like, be selfish with that, because self-care, I was told, is not selfish, it is selfless. That basically means it is selfless to give more energy into building you up to be the better version of you, so that you're not selfishly pushing off negativity, pushing off bitterness onto other people. So that's when I say I owe it to my ministry and my influence and the platform that I have not to leave a bloody trail for people to walk in my bloody footsteps. I don't have to bleed on you for me to give you insight or follow my wisdom. I don't have to bleed on you for that. I should be able to give you this information from a healthier state of mind. Now, my process isn't pretty, and I'm not dressing up my road to restoration as far as these videos, but I'm also not harming you by telling you my truth. I'm encouraging us to get whole and healthy from the inside out. I mean, it doesn't matter how much we dress up and put on makeup and, put on the flyest fit if the inside is trash. We have to spend more time catering to our internal than we do our external to flick it up for Instagram or social media. No shade, but I find that we care more about how we look on the outside than what needs work on the inside. And maybe we should change the narrative. Begin now. So I believe in prayer. God is my homie. I talk to him all the time, but I am so thankful that I have gotten out of that self-righteous mindset that, as long as I have God, I don't need anything else. I need God and therapy, and he's okay with me having both. Therapy isn't exalted above God. Therapy comes under God, but they do work together. So I just think maybe sit in what it is you're feeling. Don't try to breeze past it. Don't try to rush through it. We are in a very heavy state in the world. 2020 was a lot, so we probably still have trauma from that. The hiccups that we're running into in 2021 is seeming like, okay, now don't be 2020 2.0. Like, where is the turn of the season? It's coming. But with any season, it's time seed and harvest. So it might not be the season for us to change just yet. But we are coming out of what we were in. It just seems like it's taking a little bit longer, but we're gonna get there. And as God is our guide, we're in good hands. So that's episode 3. Like I said, I'm trying to really keep these things under 15 to 20 minutes. I think I went a little bit over, but it was necessary for me to just give you all that information. And I pray that it encourages you or helps you. Make sure that you're following and that you're subscribed to my website. Come kick it with me on my social medias so you know what's going on. And as we unpack this week, we'll talk about it next week in episode 4. Share with someone, comment, tell me what you think, tell me what you would like for me to discuss. I think next week in my therapy session, we're going to be discussing daddy issues. So this is going to be so fun. And I say that with all sarcasm. But I know that it's necessary for the woman that I want to be, which is the best version of me that I can possibly be while I'm still here on this earth. So I love you so much. I'm praying for you and with you. Keep me prayed up. Keep me in your prayers as well. And I will check in with y'all next week. So until then, love God, love yourself, and love each other. And be kind and be intentional, because this life is already a hard one. Don't make it any harder than it has to be for yourself or anybody else.